Are you using calls to action on your Pinterest pins? If you aren't, you could be leaving traffic and profit on the table. I'm Emily Vales. I'm a Pinterest marketing and ad strategist, and for the past 3.5 years, I've helped business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. So let's go ahead and talk about why you need to be including calls to action on your Pinterest pins. I oftentimes see this simple thing left off of people's standard pins, video pins, and even their idea pins. So when you include a call to action, it's pretty simple. You're just telling the pinner exactly what action you want them to take. It seems pretty simple, right? It can be something that's easily overlooked though. When I'm running Pinterest ads, I always include a call to action, because when you are spending money, it's definitely not the time to be ambiguous. However, this is just a really important practice, whether you are running Pinterest ads or you are marketing organically. So when you tell the person exactly the action you want them to take, it just makes it more clear what they are going to receive and do once they leave the Pinterest platform. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the different actions you could tell people to take. So you could tell them to get access now if maybe you are sharing the 10 best places to visit this winter. So if they get access now, maybe they're downloading a free guide of the 10 best places to visit. You could tell them to watch the free masterclass. That's frequently a call to action I use on my pins, because if I am sharing my lead magnet, when they leave the Pinterest platform, guess what? I'm gonna ask them to sign up for my free masterclass. You could tell them to learn more here. So maybe you just have a blog where you're saying the 50 best holiday drinks you wanna make this season. So they understand that when they leave the platform, they're just gonna learn more about that list of the 50 drinks. So you can see here, you want to make it clear what they will be receiving once they leave the platform, and that encourages them to take action. Now, I mentioned different pin formats. So standard pins, video pins, and idea pins. Depending on the type of pin you're sharing, that could also impact the call to action you're including on your pins. Now, I always preach to diversify the type of pin formats you're sharing. So I tell whether they be my students, people I am just sharing free value with on my social media platforms, that you want to share a combination of standard pins, video pins, and idea pins on a regular basis. And the reason for that being is that each of those different pin formats, they actually serve a different purpose. And each one, for that reason as well, needs its own unique call to action. So let's talk about the most popular and the most traditional pin format, and that would be the standard pin. Some of those calls to action that I already shared, like get access now, watch the free masterclass, those would be perfect for your standard pins. Now with video pins, I've done some different types of market research, and what I'm finding is that some people let the video speak for itself, or you could still add a call to action within the text overlay. So that's something that you can test for yourself. If you aren't including a call to action within the video though, whether you be speaking or you have it in the text overlay, I would make sure to include that in the pin description. Now, not everybody will be reading your Pinterest pin descriptions, but some people might, and that could be a great place to include that call to action is actually in the pin description. So if you aren't actually saying it, if you aren't talking in the video and telling people what action you want them to take, and you're also not including it in the text overlay on that video, then a great place to include that call to action for a video pin could be in the description. So maybe, for example, you have this beautiful video pin and you're showing somebody how to prepare a recipe, and you don't want to have anything on top of the video that would negate from the creativity or their attention on the video. So you decide to put that call to action in the description. that would be the perfect time. So maybe you don't want to include anything on top of the video. Now, the third type of pin is the idea pin. And this pin is pretty unique because it's gonna have a very different call to action because it has a very different purpose than your standard pins and your video pins. So with the standard pin, you are really driving people off of the Pinterest platform. You want them to go and visit your website, your YouTube channel, wherever you are driving that traffic. And it's very similar with video pins as well. Now, sometimes somebody might save or engage with a video pin because the video is what is hooking them in and not necessarily encouraging them to leave the platform, but the video in itself is educating them. But video pins do still drive traffic. They are linkable. So with a video pin, like I said, you could still be encouraging the person to leave the platform once again. But with an idea pin, Pinterest wants creators to be sharing a fully conceptualized idea. That means that once they watch, whether that be that video or they have scrolled through static images within that idea pin, that once they have basically consumed that content, they can go and take action. They don't need to leave the Pinterest platform to learn more. So you might be wondering, what call to action would I include on an idea pin if I'm not telling the person to leave the site and go take another action on my website or on my YouTube channel? What you could be doing is you could be telling them to, first of all, save your pin. That's a really great call to action for your idea pins. And another great call to action would be to follow you. So those are two really great ways to tell people what you want them to do. Now, you might be thinking, well, Emily, Pinterest is supposed to drive traffic. Why do I care that much about, first of all, creating idea pins and then telling people to save the pin or to follow me? What I am finding is that the more idea pins I'm creating and the more saves they're getting, the more followers I'm receiving from those idea pins, it's helping my overall Pinterest strategy. So I am seeing more saves, impressions, outbound clicks on my standard and my video pins as well. So it's growing my overall Pinterest account. And one reason for that being that right now, Pinterest is still favoring idea pins for distribution. So it is really important to be creating those idea pins within your strategy and then still having that really strong call to action. So telling people to save that pin and to follow you. So when you tell people to save that idea pin, a really great way to build those saves, obviously, and saves are a really important metric in the eyes of the Pinterest algorithm. It's telling Pinterest, hey, this creator is sharing really great high quality content that people value enough that they want to save it for later and come back to it. And that builds over time, like I said, in general, your Pinterest account. So the other thing that you are building and that action you're taking people or you're telling people to take on your idea pins is to follow you. And the more followers you have, you start creating this snowball effect where your content is showing up in your followers' curated feed. When they see it, they're more likely to pin it. And then when they pin it, anybody that's following them is more likely to see it and save it or pin it. And you can see where it starts to create this compound effect or this snowball effect. So when you are creating those idea pins, first of all, idea pins are super important to create and share within your Pinterest strategy. But make sure you have that strong call to action so that you are seeing growth and using those idea pins strategically to build your overall Pinterest account. So on those idea pins, try using and telling people with that call to action to save that pin for later and also to follow you. So as you can see here, just as a quick recap, it's really important to tell people exactly what action you want them to take on your pins, whether that be a standard pin, a video pin, or an idea pin. Each pin can really have its own unique call to action based off of, with our standard and our video pins, where we're driving that traffic, and what they should expect once they leave the Pinterest platform. And then with our idea pins, they're unique. They're kind of in their own category where you're really using them to get those saves and to build your following. Now, pro tip and last tip before I sign off today, you can also tell people in your idea pins to go and check out the link in your profile. So that's another call to action I also include even in the notes section of my idea pins. So when I'm creating my idea pins, I oftentimes write a really great keyword-rich description in the notes section. And when I do that, I also tell people in that description, I tell people to save the pin once again, follow me, and I also will tell them, hey, go check out my profile and click the link in my profile if you want to learn more about my masterclass. You could, if you're doing a video, you could even share that in your video as well. So test it out and see how that does for you. Now, like I said, you might want to play around with your call to actions, see what resonates with your audience, and definitely pay attention to what pins are working and what calls to action you're using. If this video was helpful, be sure to like it, leave any feedback in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Bye for now.